Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. If you're new, welcome. My name is Ashley. I've got a foundation review demo wear test for you today. I'm going to be testing out the Maybelline. It is the Dream Urban Cover Foundation. Chemist Warehouse had a sale on, so I thought I'm going to pick it up and test it out for you. It's been a hot minute since I've done a foundation review, so I thought I would give this one a go. If you're new to my channel, I have extremely oily skin and I have a really hard time finding foundations that last throughout the day. I hate touching up. I'm all right to do a bit of blotting, but if I have to go in and reconceal or powder or things like that, it's not worth my time and it's not worth the hassle. It's mildly textured, it's getting better. I've got a new kind of skincare routine which is kind of helping with the texture of my skin. I do have large pores around the sides of my nose and I'm turning 30 in October, so I'm starting to see a few kind of fine lines and things like that around my eyes and also my forehead too. So that's kind of what my skin is like. I am also super sensitive and acne prone, so sometimes I can have a bit of a reaction to products, but hopefully we won't see any of that today. I'm going to be testing it out. I'm going to do a full day wear test and check back in at the end of the night to see how we're going. I am going to test this foundation out for the rest of the week as well. So next weekend I'll come back, sit down, and I'll tack that portion of the video on at the end to give you my kind of roundup and thoughts. Sometimes, I don't know, I feel like a first impressions, like one day wear test doesn't really give you the full idea of what the foundation is like. Sometimes I feel like your skin just like something new and it maybe looks really good for that one day, and then kind of as you continue wearing it, it's not looking so good. So I'm going to continue wearing this foundation for the rest of the week and I'll tack that little portion on at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for my final wrap up. But before we jump into it, you guys know the drill. Give me a big like, thumbs up, subscribe if you are new so don't miss out on any of my new videos, and comment down below what foundation you want me to test out next because I will totally do that for you. I feel like this is way too yellow for me. Okay, well, whatever, we're gonna make it work. And this is what it looks like here. So this is what the packaging is. It just comes in a squeezy bottle, which is awesome. I love squeezy packaging. It just means that you can get every last bit of the product out, so I love that. And obviously it just makes it more travel friendly as well. So it is described as being a full coverage, lightweight, protective makeup. It has SPF 40, which is awesome, and it's anti-pollution as well. Full coverage, lightweight, protective makeup. The formula is enriched with antioxidants, which helps to protect the skin from environmental aggressors. I don't know what that means, but we'll go with it. It doesn't really specifically have anything that says it's going to control oils, so just note that. Basically just mark it as being a really lightweight, protective formula that has a natural finish. I'm just on the Australian Maybelline website at the moment, and it basically just says that it is a broad spectrum SPF and flawless finish product. Is enriched with antioxidants. Now in Australia, I don't know about other countries, this only comes in 10 shades, which isn't great. So I have mine in the shade 110 Porcelain. I just felt like the True Ivory just looked a little bit too pink. So we're gonna see how this goes. I think it's gonna be a little bit too yellow though, but we're gonna make it work. I purchased mine from Chemist Warehouse and I got it on sale, so it's only $12, but I think it retails like $25 full price. So it's not the cheapest, but I mean, it's kind of average for drugstore foundations in Australia anyways. Now let's just get on to putting this on. I'm going to prime as I always do. I've been testing out this primer. It's the Mattifying by Rimmel. You guys know I normally really love the Stay Matte primer that they've got, but I'm pretty sure they've discontinued it and this is kind of the replacement. I feel like it's a mix, like a hybrid between the 25-hour lasting finish primer and the original Stay Matte primer. So I'm liking it at the moment. It's making my makeup last all day, so I mean that's a winner, but we're gonna prime today. I'm just gonna take a little bit of that onto the tip of my finger, about that much, and then apply it to the rest of my skin. I have as well already applied my skincare. So I have cleanse, tone, I put on a couple of serums, which I normally do every day, and then my eye cream and moisturizer as well. All of those as well have had a good like half an hour, 40 minutes to kind of settle in as well, so there's no kind of residue on my skin, but just to let you know. Okay, so I just clipped my hair back as well. This one just says that you can apply it with fingertips, sponge, or makeup brush. I'm gonna apply it with a brush. I know, who am I? I am normally a sponge girl, but I've actually been really enjoying applying foundations with a brush at the moment. So I'm gonna go in, this is my Morphe E6 brush here, but I do really like the Sigma, I think it's the F40 flat top kabuki brush. It's like my go-to. I did fake tan last week. I've scrubbed it all off now and I still haven't cleaned it, so it's still covered in like my darker foundation, so I don't want to mix them up. Anyway, this is what the formula looks like as you squeeze it out. start with that much. Look, it's not super runny. It's not running down my hand, but it's not like whipped in formula either. So I'm just gonna pick it up on my finger here. I'm gonna just dot it on my cheek here, and we'll see how we go buffing it in. It does have a slight smell. What's that smell like? So that's just something to be aware of. It's not super overpowering though, or painty or like overly fragrant, but it definitely does have a bit of a scent. This is what it's looking like so far with just that amount. So it's definitely evened me out, but it doesn't look overly makeupy at all. It does have a bit of that sunscreeny smell. That's what it is. That's what the scent is. It's the sunscreen. Colour's not too bad at all actually. I thought I'd have the wrong shade for sure. I'm gonna say it's not looking the best on my nose. I might have to go in with a sponge over that bit, or a bit of concealer. It just seems to be just like sitting on all my dry patches on my nose and kind of just not sticking to it. The one thing that I'm always trying to find is a foundation which is going to be lightweight and not really heavy on my skin, but something as well that's going to control my oils. I feel like foundations, when they're created, if it's going to be something that's going to mattify, it's always a lot thicker and heavier in coverage. So I'm always after trying to find a foundation that's going to be control the oils but be lightweight on the skin, because I don't actually need a lot of coverage. My skin's not too bad, so I don't know, I'm always after trying to find that sweet spot of not as much coverage but being able to control the shine throughout the day. Okay, so I've used up that whole amount on my face. I'm pretty happy with the coverage. I feel like it's done a pretty good job. It's not looking great on my nose, so I'll come a bit closer to the camera and turn down the lights a little bit so you can see that up close. It's not looking great on my nose, but I'm going to put concealer on that. You can still see a little bit of my kind of acne kind of scarring here on the sides of my face, but I'm not mad about that. I don't really care. Like an everyday foundation, like this isn't going to be the foundation that you wear to events because it has got that really high SPF in it. It's definitely designed to be more of that daytime foundation. I'm just going to put a little bit more on my chin. I feel like it's just looking a little bit patchy on my chin. So I just picked up a little bit more and I'll just dab it on my chin. I don't really feel like it's oxidized at all. The coverage doesn't really build up too much either. So it's definitely, I'd say this is like a light medium maybe. It's not a full medium, but it's definitely not like light. So I've just moved a little bit closer to the camera so you can actually see what my nose is looking like. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but like it's really patchy on my nose. It's kind of clinging to some dry areas of my skin. My pores they don't look completely like concealed or hidden, but they're not exacerbated, I guess. It kind of has a little bit of that powdery start look to the skin. Like in some areas, like down here, it's looking a little bit kind of powdery. But then up here, I still definitely have that glow and shine. It's not sinking in anywhere. Maybe a little bit along my smile lines already here, but I haven't set it or anything. But this is what it's looking like. So the time is now 11:20 a.m. I'm going to apply the rest of my makeup. I'll let you know what products I use, but this is basically what we're starting with. So guys, I'm back. I finished the rest of my makeup. I did a kind of really natural, wearable, everyday look because I feel like this foundation is kind of geared towards that. It's a natural, everyday foundation that you can just chuck on. I'm actually really happy with how it looks. The nose issue did kind of fix itself up when I applied my concealer and also my contour on my nose, so it's not looking bad. I'm pretty happy with it. It hasn't really settled into any fine lines or wrinkles at the moment. I'm not looking overly matte. I do have highlight on at the moment, which is pretty glowy, but this is the Flexitarian highlighter from Colourpop, which I just mixed a little bit of my primer into, just so it's a little bit more glistening rather than sparkling. But yeah, I'm actually really impressed with it so far. My skin doesn't feel completely powdery matte at all. Like I still feel like there's a little tiny bit of tackiness to it, so that's just something to note. Okay, so this is what the face is looking like without all the lights on. As you can see, I definitely have a little bit of a glow to my forehead. It's definitely not matte at all. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with it. You can see my nose isn't looking super kind of crusty anymore. It's kind of blended in. Those dry spots haven't become hugely exacerbated now once I've got my concealer on. But this is what the skin is looking like. I'm going to scratch my face up a little bit so you can kind of see what it looks like on the skin, like real skin. That moves. I'll be really interested to see how this holds up during the day. Like I said, my skin is not feeling super mattified at all. Although this has got a beautiful kind of natural finish now, I definitely don't want to be an oily mess by the end of the day. So yeah, and I also don't want to be having to touch it up the whole time. So we'll see how it goes. The time is now 12 o'clock. I think it was about 11:30 was when I finished it, but we'll start the check-in now. I will try and leave this on until about 8 o'clock tonight and see how we go. But I mean, if it's really appalling, we'll probably end it earlier. But if it's kind of lasting and looking not so bad, we'll try to push it to 8, but we'll see how we go. So I will see you guys shortly for a check-in. Hey guys, so I am back. The time is now almost 7:40 p.m. So I've had the foundation on for a bit over 8 hours, and this is what we're looking like. Not terrible, not the greatest, but not terrible, that's for sure. I am definitely shiny and I feel sticky, like I feel really tacky. The smell of the sunscreen within this foundation lingers all day. Like I could catch myself like getting whiffs of it throughout the day. I don't know if I'm so sold on having such a big SPF in the foundation. I kind of go by the rules of wearing SPF under foundation and leaving it at that, but putting your foundation on top. Not so much worrying about it being included in the foundation formula. I just feel like it leaves this slippery, slimy feeling to the skin. Like my skin just never felt like it's set. You know, when I wear the sunscreens that I like to wear underneath my makeup, my skin doesn't feel greasy or oily or shiny or like sunscreeny throughout the day, whereas this does. So I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Regarding obviously oil control, I'm definitely shiny, but I'm not like over the top greasy. It hasn't really broken down too much. It's rubbed off a little bit on my chin, has settled in a little bit on my kind of forehead lines, but not terribly. It's more so the fact that I feel sticky. Like I feel like I've been at the beach and I put a heap of sunscreen all over my face, like that kind of feeling, which I don't know if I'm a fan of for every day. I'm gonna turn down the ring light and move a little bit closer so you can have a up close look at the skin. So you can definitely see with the ring light down, I'm definitely shiny. This is the glow from the highlight, so don't worry about that. My forehead is definitely looking very shiny. My bronzing and kind of contour has come off the kind of tops of my head here. As you can see, my chin has lost a lot of its coverage. It's definitely looking a little bit red. I'm shiny on either sides of my nose. Maybe my bronzer is looking a little bit patchy on this side, but again, not terrible. My nose is definitely shiny. Not looking too cakey though. More so just my chin that it's rubbed off. It's settled a little bit inside my frown line here, but that's not bad compared to some foundations that I get absolute full creasing. So it's not terrible. Settled a little bit into my smile lines, but really not that bad. I'm still looking quite mattified around my mouth area. It's just my chin. Look, I'm gonna say that it's not too bad. I am just gonna grab a little bit more of my Nakia Joy powder. I'm just gonna dust it very lightly over the skin to see if we can kind of revive this a little bit more. I'm just going to leave the ring lights down a bit so you can get a bit of a true representation. Normally I would blot and then go in with the powder, but I'm just going to quickly just pop the powder on and see how we go. So I've just put a little bit on this brush here, and I'm just going to lightly dab over my forehead to see how that goes. Just on my nose as well. My nose is looking quite shiny. Either side. I'm just going to do the apples of my cheek just to get rid of a little bit of that texture that it looks like it's forming. And very lightly, just on the edges of my contour. Okay. So I feel like that's done a pretty damn good job. I definitely I'm feeling smooth now. I'm not feeling like that tackiness at all. So my forehead is definitely looking a lot more mattified. I would probably want to go in with a little bit more bronzer. As you can see, I've just lost a little bit of coverage on the tops of my forehead here. But if I went in with a little bit more bronzer, I think I could make that work. My chin is looking not the best, but not the worst. It's definitely for a good like little touch up. I'm not looking overly cakey at all with that extra powder on either. That's touched up really, really nicely. And maybe looking a little bit cakey on the inside of my nose just here, but really not bad at all. I'm actually very impressed by that touch up. It's done such an amazing job, but that's due to the powder as well. The Naked Joe powder for oily skin is like incredible, so I'm not surprised, but kind of surprised at the same time. So like I said, the touching up has done an amazing job at mattifying my skin. I don't have that tacky feeling anymore, which is awesome. I have lost, like I said, a bit of the coverage of my bronzer around the perimeter of my face, so I would like to go and touch that up again, but I'm not going to worry about it now. I'm really impressed that it hasn't like absolutely broken down and crumbled off my face like it sometimes does with when my oils break down the foundation. It's a hot mess. It really hasn't done that. Like I said, I lost a bit of coverage on my chin, but that's not uncommon. Just because I touched my face and rest my hand on my chin, that's what's going to happen. I might try as well not using the Huda Beauty Tan Tour to see how I go with that. I do find that sometimes makes me a bit shiny, so I'll be interested to see how I just go with powder and no kind of cream products, but I'll test that out throughout the week and again leave that updated. So I guess we'll be checking in about a week. Okay, so we're back. Look, it's definitely been a little bit more than a week, probably about like 3 weeks since you last saw me in this video, but I mean that's given me more time to test out the foundation, right? And guys, I definitely have updates for you, and spoiler, I don't think they're very positive. I have been using kind of on and off this foundation for the past like 3 weeks, and I am not super impressed by it anymore. I feel like it's always the ways, and that's why I want to try and incorporate these kind of later on kind of updates within the first impressions, because I feel like the first time you wear the foundation, sometimes like they just, I don't know, your skin's testing something new and it might look really good, but the more and more you wear it, look, that's what happened with this one. It just did not settle well on my skin. I don't really agree with some of the claims of this one, although it's not meant to be an oil controlling foundation, which I totally get. It may be not geared towards my skin type specifically, but where it says that it's full coverage, that's where I have a gripe with. This foundation is only full coverage if you're willing to build it up quite a lot, and it doesn't build up very nicely on the skin. You guys would have seen when I initially applied it, it was so lightweight and it was just kind of more of a light coverage. Full coverage for me is something like the Maybelline Superstay foundation. That is full coverage. This is not full coverage. The scent as well is something that I just really can't get over. I mean, I know that it's the kind of sunscreen scent, but it lingers all day. Like, I will smell this on my skin as I'm finishing up the end of the day after wearing it. Like, it is so strong. Personally, I would prefer to use a sunscreen within my kind of skincare routine rather than relying on it inside something like a foundation. To get the amount of SPF that you require, you're gonna need a lot of foundation to cover your skin. It does kind of start to look that kind of heavy makeupy look. Now, I've tested it with my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer and also the Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. It definitely lasts a lot better with the MAC Pro Longwear, and that's probably because that is a long-lasting, semi-oil controlling, crease-proof concealer. So I kind of credit that to the concealer doing a bomb job. It's a bomb concealer. When I use the Conceal and Define, which isn't my favorite concealer, I'm just actually trying to get through it, I do feel like it patches off, becomes really cakey and creasy under my eyes, especially on the sides of my nose. I get super greasy. I wore it one day for a full day at work, and it was a kind of humid day, so my oils were, you know, producing, and it didn't last well on my skin whatsoever. I tried to do a little bit more of a lighter application because I actually didn't need a lot of coverage at that time, which I thought this foundation would be kind of more geared, like more suited towards like a less heavy application, but I think the lighter that I went with the application, the less longevity it had in holding up and lasting on my skin. So if I want this guy to last, I've got to use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, and I've got to put a ton of this on just to make it last on my oily skin. For me, that's not really what my everyday foundation wants to be like. It did, look, it felt lightweight in the beginning, but as the day kind of wore on, I just felt like greasy, slimy, fried chicken in this. So for me, for an everyday foundation, it's not going to be my go-to, that's for sure. So after a daytime foundation that you're not going to be wearing for a full 12-hour day, it might be a foundation that you might want to check out. If your skin isn't super oily, I feel like you could actually get on with this one, especially if you don't have a terrible skin and you just after a bit more of a lighter kind of coverage foundation just to even out your skin tone. I feel like this might be a good option. But for those who are oily skinned and need their foundation to last a really long time, this unfortunately I don't think is going to be the guy for you. So I hope that little update helped you out. I know it's kind of a different opinion to the end of the last video, but the longer that I've worn it, I can't be bothered to do the amount of touching up this will require throughout the day, and to only be able to use it with a specific concealer, which for me is like carrying the foundation. I don't know, I feel like for me the foundation wasn't doing anything and it was all on the concealer. It should have been a review for the concealer really. Foundation wasn't doing anything. So anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. Subscribe down below before you leave so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. Be kind to one another, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.